The sky was screaming. Lightning tore across the heavens like a warning, and somewhere on Mount Olympus, a god's anger was building so intensely that the earth below began to tremble. People rushed out of their homes, staring upward, terrified, waiting for something, anything to happen. They didn't know if the sun would rise the next morning. They didn't know which god they had offended, and they didn't know that this moment would change their entire world forever. Welcome to the Eternal Narrator, where stories like this are not just tales, but lifelines to forgotten worlds. Here, every legend is a doorway, every myth whispers a truth about who we are, and every story reminds us that we're never as far from the ancient world as we think. But before the sky cracked open and fear spread through the land, everything began with a story older than humanity itself, a story the ancient Greeks believed explained every storm, every sunrise, and every disaster. They believed the world was alive with emotion, and that the gods felt everything humans felt, but multiplied. In the beginning, there was nothing, not darkness, not silence, just an empty, endless space the Greeks called chaos. Think of it like the world before the world, a blank canvas waiting for a first brushstroke. From that emptiness came Gaia, the earth, and Uranus, the sky, and together they created the Titans, powerful beings who shaped mountains, oceans, and time itself. But power creates fear, and fear creates strange decisions. Kronos, the leader of the Titans, became terrified that his own children would someday rise against him. It sounds extreme, but imagine worrying so much about losing control that you hide every possible threat, even if that threat is your own family. Kronos didn't just hide his children, he swallowed them whole. Every son, every daughter, gone in a heartbeat, all except one. A single child escaped. Zeus, hidden away in secret, raised far from danger, growing stronger every day. And while Kronos ruled with fear, Zeus grew with fire in his heart. Years later, when he finally returned, he did something unthinkable. He forced Kronos to spit out all the children he had swallowed. They were alive, angry, and ready for a war that would shake the world. This wasn't just a family fight. It was a battle that decided who would control the sky, the sea, and even death itself. It was the moment the ancient world split open, giving birth to the Olympian gods, Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia. Each one ruled a different part of life, but they didn't rule from a distance. The Greeks believed their gods lived in the world, felt human emotions, and reacted to every prayer, every mistake, every hope. If a storm destroyed your boat, you didn't call it bad luck. You wondered why Poseidon was angry. If your crops dried up, you didn't think about the weather. You worried about Demeter's heartbreak. If you fell deeply in love, you thanked or cursed Aphrodite. These gods weren't ideas. They were neighbors, loud ones, emotional ones, unpredictable ones. But humans didn't just look to gods for answers. They looked to heroes to learn what courage really meant. Heracles carried his pain like a weight, but kept going anyway. Perseus stood in front of danger so terrifying that one wrong glance could freeze him forever. Odysseus survived storms, monsters, and temptations, not because he was the strongest, but because he was clever enough to outthink the world. These heroes were human enough to fail, but brave enough to keep moving. That's what made them legends. And then there were the creatures. The Minotaur, trapped in a maze built like a giant puzzle no one could solve. Medusa, cursed with snakes for hair and loneliness sharper than any blade. Cerberus, the three-headed dog guarding the underworld with loyalty so fierce even the dead feared him. Pegasus, the flying horse born from tragedy. The Hydra, a monster that grew 2 new problems every time you tried to solve one. Each creature was a symbol of something real: fear, chaos, confusion, grief, anger, temptation. monsters outside the world, and monsters inside the human heart. These ancient legends were not entertainment. They were survival guides, ways to make sense of life before science, before explanations, before certainty. They taught people how to lead, how to love, how to endure, how to hope. And even today, thousands of years later, their shadows still live in our books, our films, our games, and our dreams. And yet, there is something the myths rarely tell you up front. Something deeper, something unsettling, something that explains why the sky once screamed, why the gods reacted like humans, and why the heroes who tried to save the world often ended up lost or broken themselves. Because behind every god, every hero, every monster, there is a truth the ancient Greeks believed, but rarely spoke aloud. And that truth changes everything. But to understand it, we have to step into the one story no one wanted to tell. The story that reveals what truly holds the world together, and what happens when it breaks. And that story begins right after the thunder, when the sky tore open. If you enjoyed this journey into ancient Greek myths, subscribe to the Eternal Narrator for more epic stories, more forgotten worlds, and more legends brought back to life. Until next time, keep the flame of curiosity burning.